you all for being there in my session. My topic today is the impact of language. So let me start by saying Namaste, hi, hello. But what if I say Kem Cho? That's my mother tongue. Would you be getting that? Alright. So what if I start by saying કે હું અહીંયા છું and હું આજે તમારી બધાની સમક્ષ એવી રીતે વાત કરવાની છું જાણે કે તમને કશું સમજ જ નથી પડતું. Did you understand that part of it? No. So that is how communication works. If and all I do not talk into a language that you understand, with my body language also, it's not just the verbal language. When we talk about language, it's also our body language, it's also my tone, it's also my volume, and it's also how I'm presenting and the choice of my vocabulary that is going to matter. Specifically for all of us who are taking care of people with diabetes, it is of utmost importance how we break to them the news of them having a chronic disorder which they are going to live with for the rest of their lives. This, do we have a slide changer? So this is something which is very personal on a one-to-one basis for all of us. So for example, if I say, hello Aisha, how are you? You know, and inspect, hello, how are you? So that tone and that impact will altogether be very different. So language matters has been a consensus and a guideline since 2017. A group of people with type 1 diabetes came together, thank you so much, came together and they said that we want the healthcare professionals to talk to us in a certain manner. Imagine a small child. The latest scientific backup is that any child who is treated in a certain manner, who is talked to in a certain manner. Do you know there are different sorts of schooling? There is a Montessori school, there is a normal sort of a schooling, there is homeschooling. And all of these kids have been studied to see who becomes a leader. How you are trained in your childhood, how you are taught in your childhood, how you are taught even as a young adult impacts what you build up and what profession you choose and how you become leaders. The same thing has been impacting people with chronic disorders who have been diagnosed in their young and formative ages. Also, geriatric population with type 2 diabetes also has been impacted. So for example, when somebody said that you've been diagnosed with cancer, you will be under a palliative care. That is such a grim diagnosis. In comparison to when I said you've been diagnosed with diabetes, you will be under palliative care. It's 2024. We all know that with the use of the correct technology and with the best management, diabetes is one of the best disorders to have because you are going to be very disciplined and you can lead a good quality of life throughout with the best team. So that is how I'll tell you and talk to you through how that language can be different as healthcare professionals and how we can lead it. So this was my slide saying thank you to the organizers of JPEF. Language matters because words are going to shape how we see each other. So how you are seeing me right now and how I'm talking to you is your first impression of me and probably second and 100 for a lot of you sitting here. The single biggest problem is that we think we are communicating and that is the illusion that communication has taken place. Might be whatever I'm saying and what you're comprehending is different. So it's not just communication, it is how the comprehension of the message is happening, that's what matters. So this is the statement that I was talking to you about. In 2017, the American Diabetes Association, with the support of people living with diabetes, they came together and they said that language is what is important. The healthcare professionals have to use some specific terminologies in a positive manner to take care of how the disorder is also going to impact people with diabetes, to form the notion to take care of the adherence and also to take care of the compliance of people living with diabetes. This is the paper that has come out in 2017, that use of language in diabetes care and education is of utmost importance. So this is some research. When a person comes to you, let's say with an HbA1c of say 10 or 8 also or 7.5 also, sometimes we are being very harsh and we say you've been a non-compliant. Have you had the baklava in the lunch? How many of you have? Yes. Have you had some of the sweet or other desserts? No? Nobody else has eaten any dessert? Non-dessert people? I was a person who eats desserts first. So when a person with diabetes comes to you and says, you know, I've had something, say a lot of carbs or some dessert, or not taken my medication or not taken my insulin, we are outrightly telling them that you've been non-adherent. Why did you not do this? And that comes out as if they've committed a crime. And that comes out as a shock to them. We are revolving the whole conversation around the disorder and not around the person. You're not identifying that person as a person, and you are calling that person and defining him in the range, defining her with only the chronic disorder that he or she is having. We also use the word suffer. Most of our slides are talking about and saying that somebody is suffering with diabetes. Why not living with diabetes? We say to the parents that your child has been diagnosed with type 1 and he or she will be suffering with type 1 diabetes. Why suffering? It's again 2024. You have the DIY. We were just having a good panel downstairs, and there were two young girls with type 1 diabetes doing excellent work on a CGMS, having the most exemplary life. I think she was more disciplined than I was. I think she was exercising and taking care of her food much better than a lot of us in the room today. What should we be doing? Maybe we can ask, what's your diabetes control like? Instead of asking what are your numbers, instead of pointing out directly on how you're faring. It's not a result, it's not a pass and a fail. We could just, maybe say, how's your diabetes looking like today? Instead of, putting and defining the person into that criteria. Should you be eating that instead of you've had the baklava, it's bad. Maybe you point out a question, should you be eating that? If you've taken your correction dose, well and fine. Okay, that's your choice. If you've not exercised, well, just think over it. If you want to eat it, go ahead, let's talk about it. How to take care of the hyperglycemia after that. That's our responsibility. Not to say what to do and what not to do. Our responsibility is to teach them to live responsibly and take care of their bodies. It is probably some type 2 diabetic people, or let's say people with type 2 diabetes who've been non-compliant, and we as healthcare professionals also have that exhaustion. Kitni baar aapko bataya? How many times do I have to tell you to do this? But that's our job. We have to tell them, and tell them in the most positive manner. That's what our job is. So this is the paper, this is the consensus of language matters that came out through the NHS. What does it say? They are recommending that language matters has to be one of the most important way of communicating with people with diabetes. It can have both positive as well as negative effect. And we alert how you are using that language around people living with diabetes, and recognize when a negative incantonment can impact that child, that young adult, or even a person who's an adult living with diabetes. Be more empathetic, be more person-centric. You cannot give a blanket therapy, and also be culturally competent. You cannot tell me to not have roti, I cannot tell you to not have rice, because that's how we are culturally different. So for anybody, coming to me, I'll have to make sure that whatever I'm talking to him or her has to be acceptable to that person in a traditional format as well as in a medicinal format. Support the person with diabetes, be aware of what you're doing, and encourage them to follow and make those positive changes. Not put them down, maybe push them. Whatever you've done up till now, it's fine. Let's accept it how it is going. From tomorrow or from today evening itself, let's take care of how we are, eating our food, or maybe let's take care of how we are incorporating physical activity amongst ourselves. So maybe climb the stairs more. What should we do less? Be less demanding. Let's not just prescribe and say, the next time you come to me with all your HbA1c. Maybe ask them that in your, say, professional life, can you incorporate SMBG? If not, there are other options like CGMS. If not that also, how can I help you to incorporate these changes into your life so that I can make your diabetes better? It's not just that person's onus to abide by your demands and commands like that. Let's not stereotype also people. So a person coming to our cabin, we judge them at the moment they are entering our cabins. by their walk, by their clothes, by how they're talking, their literacy rates. So a lot of us, and that is a part of being a physician, I understand, we are very observant. But that also affects, and somewhere we have stereotyped people that this is the person maybe I can educate up for the pump. This is the person maybe I can educate for GLPs. This is the person, maybe I can educate for CGMS. And this is the person I will not be educating because I don't think he or she will be able to understand or take care of themselves in a certain manner. So no, let's not stereotype. Everybody has a right to the correct education and to have the option that these are the options that are available for you to take care of your diabetes. Now it is on that person to select them and come back to you that this is how my finances are. Can you make some changes? Can you help me with how the therapy can be changed? So that is how we should be doing. Let's not shame them, let's not blame them. These people are already going through a lot of things emotionally, financially, physically, as well as in all perspectives. Let's not blame them for the disorder that they have, and let's not threaten. That's the last thing we should be doing. For a lot of type 2, we use insulin as a threat, and that's the last thing we want to be doing. As well as for type 1, agar ye nahi hua, your kidneys are going to be damaged. Let's not threaten them with negative outcomes. A lot of my seniors, a lot of my teachers who are old school have also told me that it's necessary sometimes. And it's been a long debate that if you don't show them the negative outcomes, they are not aware of what they will have in case they are not taking care of their diabetes. But how about we put the whole scenario in a positive way, and maybe put it on paper and show them. Maybe give an example that so and so person was not having a controlled sugar and was on dialysis. Do you think that you'll be comfortable if you are on dialysis? Maybe just changing the way of how we are showing them the future is what Language Matters is all about. Let us simplify the medical jargon as well. Use more visuals, maybe use things that are more comprehensible. Not everybody entering into our cabin is as competent enough to understand what we are writing on the prescription paper. And for exactly that matter, all healthcare professionals need to be trained to be educators as well, to come down to the level of the people we are taking care of. The person-centered language, using non-stigmatizing languages, not using and not calling them diabetic, calling them people with diabetes, and emphasizing that you are the important person. We are not taking care of just the sugars, just the numbers. We are taking care of you as a person, as a whole. Understanding the cultural differences, since I've got only 15 seconds, and let us make everything tailor-made. For everybody coming to us with diabetes, that stereotyping is going to help us here to make things tailor-made for people of different background, for different cultures, and for different opinions and different education level. So this is the website of Language Matters. It was Dr. Parthakar Jazz, who's living with type 1 diabetes. Parthakar is from NHS, and a lot of stalwarts, Dr. Jyoti Dev sir, Dr. Banshi, Dr. Shashank sir, all of them who've been a part of the Language Matters movement. It is a global movement now, and a lot of countries are a part of how language can be changed for people with diabetes. And see how both of us, or how we are talking to a people with diabetes is going to be impacting. How I am talking to you is going to be impacting you for the take-home message as well. How you guys are going to comprehend me is going to be the take-home message today. How my body language is telling you to make these smaller changes into your practice is going to be the take-home message than what you are reading. Let's just be non-judgmental. Let's just be really sensitive, not sympathetic, but sensitive and empathetic towards people with diabetes. So with that, thank you all for your patient listening. Any questions, and maybe we can take it off stage. Thank you, Dr. Arshad, for moderating the session.